I'm Lauren, 35, and until last month, I thought I was in a committed relationship with someone who respected me. Turns out I was just the safe option while he kept his real priorities elsewhere. When I found out, I didn't yell or make a scene. I just made one strategic phone call that unraveled everything he'd been hiding. I'd been with Marcus for 2.5 years. We met at a mutual friend's birthday party, connected over our shared love of hiking and terrible reality TV, and things progressed naturally from there. He was smart, ambitious, worked in corporate sales. We talked about moving in together, maybe getting engaged next year. I thought we were building towards something real. About 3 months ago, things started shifting. Marcus became more distant, more critical. He'd make comments about how I lacked drive or wasn't assertive enough. I work in IT infrastructure. Steady job, good pay, nothing flashy, but reliable. He started comparing me to his ex, a woman named Diana, who he'd dated for 3 years before me. Diana was apparently some hotshot sales manager who knew how to take charge and made things happen. At first, the comparisons were subtle. Diana would have handled that differently. Diana always knew what to say in situations like this. Then they got more pointed, more frequent, more insulting. The breaking point came 2 weeks ago on a Tuesday night. Marcus had texted me around 5 p.m., saying he had a late meeting at the office and wouldn't be home until around 9 p.m. This wasn't unusual. He had late meetings a few times a month. I said, "No problem. I'll grab dinner with my friend Ryan." Except Ryan canceled last minute. His kid got sick, so I decided to surprise Marcus by picking up Thai food from his favorite place and dropping it off at his office around 7 p.m. He could eat when his meeting ended. I got to his office building around 7:15 p.m. The lobby was mostly empty, just the security guard at the desk. I signed in, told him I was dropping off food for Marcus Chen in sales. He looked at his computer, then at me. "There's no one from sales here tonight. Building's pretty much empty, except for the cleaning crew and a few people in accounting." "Are you sure? Marcus Chen? He said he had a late meeting." The guard checked again. "No meetings scheduled for sales tonight. Last person from that department left at 5:30. I thanked him, took the food, and left. I sat in my car in the parking lot, trying to figure out what was happening. He'd lied about where he was. The question was why. I called him. He answered on the third ring, and I could hear background noise. Music. People talking, like he was at a bar or restaurant. "Hey, babe, what's up?" "Just checking in. How's the meeting going?" "Oh, it's fine. Bit boring. You know how these things are. Should wrap up in an hour or so." "Okay. Want me to pick up dinner for when you get home?" "That's sweet, but we're ordering in here. I'll probably just have a small snack when I'm back. Don't wait up if you're tired." We hung up. He'd just lied directly to my face. Not even a good lie. I drove home, put the Thai food in the fridge, and sat on the couch trying to process what was happening. Around 9:30 p.m., I heard Marcus's car in the driveway. He came in looking relaxed, cheerful even. "Hey, meeting finally ended. I'm exhausted." He kicked off his shoes and headed for the bedroom. "How was it?" I asked. "Long. Just going over quarterly projections and strategy stuff. You know how Alex gets when he's in planning mode." Alex was his boss. More lies. I didn't confront him that night. I needed to know more first. The next day, Wednesday, I did something I'm not proud of, but don't regret. I called Marcus's office and asked for his assistant, Kelly. "Hi, Kelly. This is Lauren, Marcus's girlfriend. I'm trying to plan a surprise for him, but I need to work around his schedule. Can you tell me if he has any late meetings coming up this week?" Kelly was friendly and helpful. "Oh, that's sweet. Let me check. No, actually, his schedule's pretty clear this week. Normal 9 to 5 days. He had a late meeting on Friday last week, but nothing scheduled for this week." "What about yesterday? Tuesday?" "Tuesday? No. He left at his normal time, around 5:15, I think." "Got it. Thanks, Kelly." So Marcus had lied about Tuesday's meeting, and apparently about other late meetings too. I needed to know where he'd actually been that evening. That night, I asked casually, "Hey, do you have any late meetings coming up?" "Actually, yeah, tomorrow night. Probably won't be home until 9:30 or 10. "Okay, I'll fend for myself for dinner." Thursday evening came. Marcus left the house at 5:45 p.m., dressed nicely. Said he'd text me when the meeting was ending. At 6:15 p.m., I did something that confirmed my worst suspicions. I used Find My Friends. We'd shared locations months ago for practical reasons. I'd never thought about it since. He wasn't at his office. He was at a restaurant downtown, an upscale steakhouse. I got in my car and drove there, parked across the street where I could see the entrance. At 7:20 p.m., Marcus walked out. He wasn't alone. He was with a woman. Tall, well-dressed, confident body language. They stood outside talking for a few minutes. She touched his arm. He laughed at something she said. Then they hugged goodbye, and he walked to his car. I didn't recognize her from photos, but something told me I knew exactly who she was. I drove home before he did. I was sitting on the couch when he walked in at 8:30. Meeting done early? I asked. Yeah, we powered through it. I'm starving, though. Think I'll make a sandwich. I watched him move around the kitchen, lying so easily, and something cold settled in my chest. Marcus, can I ask you something? Sure, what's up? Do you think I handle responsibility well? He stopped, looked at me with surprise. That's random. Why are you asking? Just curious about your opinion. He leaned against the counter. Honestly, I think you're fine with day-to-day stuff, but you're not great with real pressure. You avoid conflict. You don't take charge. You'd never survive real responsibility. Like what kind of responsibility? I don't know. High-stakes decisions, leadership situations. My ex, Diana, she knew how to handle things you don't. She had this presence, this confidence. You're just different. There it was, another comparison to Diana. I nodded slowly. Where were you tonight, Marcus? His face changed immediately. I told you. Late meeting. Kelly says there was no meeting scheduled. Kelly doesn't know everything. I checked your location. You were at Blackstone Steakhouse. I drove there. I saw you with her. The color drained from his face. Lauren? Is it Diana? He didn't answer, which was answer enough. How long? How long? I asked again. It's not what you think. How long have you been seeing her? He ran a hand through his hair. We've been talking, rekindling our friendship. It's nothing serious. You've been lying to me for weeks about where you are. You're having dinner with your ex. You're constantly telling me how much better she is than me. That sounds pretty serious. You're overreacting. I'm done, Marcus. My voice was calm, steadier than I felt. Pack your things. You can stay with Diana since you clearly prefer her. He started crying then, saying it wasn't an affair, that they were just friends, that he was confused, that he needed time to figure things out. I didn't argue. I just went to the bedroom, packed a bag, and told him I'd be at Ryan's. He could move out by the weekend. Update 1. I stayed at Ryan's place for 3 days. Marcus texted constantly, apologizing, explaining, begging for another chance. He admitted he'd been meeting Diana for about 6 weeks. They'd reconnected at an industry conference. He swore nothing physical had happened, that they were just talking, catching up. He said he'd been confused about our relationship, but realized now that he wanted to be with me. I didn't believe him. Even if nothing physical had happened, which I doubted, the emotional affair was enough. The lies were enough. The constant comparisons were enough. On Sunday, I made a phone call. I did some research, found Diana's LinkedIn profile, found her company, and got her work email through the company website. I sent her a message. Diana, you don't know me, but I'm Lauren, Marcus Chen's girlfriend, or I was until I found out he's been meeting you for secret dinners while lying to me about where he is. I'm done with him. But I thought you should know something. Marcus has been telling me for months how much better you are than me, how you know how to handle things I don't, how you have confidence and presence I lack. He's been building you up as this ideal partner while tearing me down. Just thought you should know what you're getting into. Also, he's been telling people at his office that you're just an old friend he's networking with. Make of that what you will. Good luck. I hit send. I didn't tell Marcus about it. I didn't mention it to anyone except Ryan, who said it was either brilliant or insane, and he wasn't sure which. Monday morning, I moved back into the apartment. Marcus had moved out to a friend's place over the weekend. I was making coffee around 8:30 a.m. when my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Is this Lauren? A woman's voice asked. Professional. Controlled. Yes, who's this? This is Diana Morrison. I got your email. I sat down. I needed to tell you something, she said. Marcus has been lying to both of us. That got my full attention. What do you mean? He told me you two broke up 3 months ago, that he was single and we were just taking things slow while he got over the relationship. I had no idea you were still together. When I got your email, I called him immediately. He tried to say you were lying, that you were an ex who was harassing him, so I asked him to show me proof. Texts between you, anything that showed you weren't together anymore. And he couldn't, because you were together. She paused. He's been playing both of us. So what happens now? I asked. Now I'm done with him. I'm not interested in someone who lies this easily. I'm calling to tell you what happened and to apologize. I didn't know I was participating in this. I appreciate that. And Lauren, she added, for what it's worth, He said a lot of negative things about you to make himself look like the victim of a bad relationship. I believed him because I had no reason not to. But if even half of what he said was true, you still deserve better than how he treated you. No one deserves to be lied to like this." We hung up. I sat there processing everything. Marcus hadn't just been having an emotional affair. He'd been rewriting history for both of us, telling me Diana was better, while telling Diana I didn't exist anymore. Update 2. At 9:15 a.m. that same Monday, Marcus's phone must have rung, because at 9:17 my phone started blowing up. 17 missed calls from Marcus in 3 minutes, then texts. "What did you do?" "Diana just called me. She says we're done." "What did you tell her?" I didn't respond. I let him panic. Around 10 a.m., he showed up at the apartment. I'd changed the locks over the weekend so he couldn't get in. He knocked frantically. I opened the door but kept the chain on. "What did you tell Diana?" he demanded. "The truth," I said. "That you were lying to both of us. You had no right." "I had every right. You were lying to me for weeks. She deserved to know what kind of person she was dealing with." "She broke up with me," he said, his voice cracking. "Are you happy? You ruined everything." "I didn't ruin anything. You did, when you decided to lie to everyone in your life." "This is insane," he snapped. "You're vindictive and controlling." "And Marcus," I said quietly, "I'm done listening to you blame everyone but yourself. You made your choices. Diana made hers. Now I'm making mine. We're done. Don't contact me again." I closed the door. He yelled through it for a few more minutes before finally leaving. Over the next week, the full picture emerged through mutual friends. Marcus had been telling different stories to different people. His coworkers thought Diana was a professional mentor. His friends thought I was boring and he was considering leaving me. His family thought everything was fine. No one had the complete story, because he'd been carefully managing narratives. When Diana called him and ended things, when I confirmed to mutual friends that he'd been lying about late meetings, his reputation took a massive hit. People he'd lied to were angry. His work friends felt manipulated. His family was disappointed. Update 3. Marcus tried to reach out a few more times over the following weeks. First through apologetic texts, then through mutual friends asking me to give him another chance. Finally, through a long email explaining that he'd been going through something, had made mistakes, but truly loved me. I didn't respond to any of it. I'd spent 2.5 years with someone who compared me unfavorably to his ex, lied about where he was, and tried to restart a relationship while keeping me as backup. That's not love, that's convenience. Diana reached out once more about 3 weeks after everything happened. She'd heard through Marcus's coworkers that he was telling people she'd pursued him aggressively and wouldn't take no for an answer. She wanted to make sure I knew the truth, that he'd initiated everything, that he'd been the one reaching out. I told her I believed her and appreciated her being honest. We're not friends or anything, but there's a mutual respect there. We both got played by the same person. The weirdest part of all this was realizing how many people had noticed Marcus's behavior but never said anything. After we broke up, multiple friends admitted they'd thought he was too critical of me, too focused on what I couldn't do instead of what I could. They'd stayed quiet because they didn't want to interfere. I get it, but it also made me realize I need to surround myself with people who will tell me hard truths when I need to hear them. Final update. It's been 2 months since I sent that email to Diana. I'm doing well. The apartment feels lighter without Marcus's constant criticism hanging over everything. I've reconnected with hobbies I'd let slide. Started rock climbing again. Joined a soccer league. Been reading more. Marcus moved to a different city about 3 weeks ago. Got a job transfer. Apparently needed a fresh start away from the social fallout here. I heard this through mutual friends who still keep me updated, despite my asking them not to. They seem to think I want to know. I don't, but I also don't stop them. Last I heard, he's been posting on social media about toxic exes and learning to trust again. The irony isn't lost on anyone who knows the real story. Diana and I crossed paths once at a networking event last week. We nodded at each other, shared a brief, "How's it going?" and moved on. No hard feelings on either side, just two women who got tangled up in someone else's mess. The thing I keep thinking about is that phone call Diana made. The way Marcus must have felt when he realized both of us knew the truth. When he understood that the carefully constructed narratives he'd built around both relationships had collapsed in a single morning. I didn't expose him publicly. I didn't blast him on social media or tell everyone we knew. I just made one strategic call, sent one email to the person who deserved to know she was being lied to, and that was enough for everything to unravel. Sometimes revenge isn't about grand gestures. It's about simply revealing the truth and letting consequences follow naturally. Edit 1. People keep asking if I regret the email to Diana. I don't. She deserved to know she was being lied to. Just like I deserve to know, Marcus created this situation by lying to both of us. I just made sure we both had accurate information. Edit 2. For those asking about the dropped phone moment, Diana told me later that when she called Marcus that morning, he answered cheerfully, thinking it was a normal call. The second she said, "I got an interesting email from your girlfriend, Lauren," he apparently went silent. Then the call disconnected. She assumed he'd hung up, but mutual friends later told her he'd literally dropped his phone in shock. He called her back 2 minutes later trying to explain, but she was already done listening. Edit 3. Yes, I changed the locks legally. Marcus had voluntarily moved out and wasn't on the lease. I gave him time to collect his belongings with notice. Everything was done properly.